Under the hashtag PingTok, ladies and gentlemen, teenagers are filming their drug habits. In the comment section, many people are talking about it and they're generating millions of views. Is TikTok fueling a dangerous trend or also becoming a lifeline for prevention and recovery? What are we even talking about? A disturbing digital subculture has taken root on TikTok. This app, ladies and gentlemen, maybe the ban would have been a good idea. Under the hashtag PingTok, PingTok, where millions of viewers are tuning in, to watch teenagers and young adults film themselves while high on various substances. These, quote, trip reports, which can range from a misuse of a household product to the consumption of synthetic drugs, often function as a voyeuristic getaway for young and impressionable audiences. Critics and law enforcement warn that the platform's comment sections are increasingly being used as unregulated digital marketplaces where dealers can hide coded language and emojis to connect with potential buyers, bypassing traditional moderation filters. Very interesting. Very YouTube in the early days. Remember the Elsa and Spider-Man era before they really cracked down and then you couldn't comment on like videos that were like for kids or anything like that? It got really, really, really serious, and I think that TikTok might be heading that direction. The trend has sparked an intense debate over the role of social media in the modern drug crisis. While TikTok's community guidelines strictly prohibit the promotion of illegal substances, the sheer volume of the, quote, underground content, often disguised with intentional misspellings or niche hashtags, makes total enforcement of their policies a game of digital whack-a-mole. Medical experts are pointing to the Benadryl challenge. That's an awful idea. Don't even be taking Benadryl because it can increase your risk of dementia tenfold or whatever. Even if you just take it limited amount, Benadryl is awful for you. It's horrible for your mind. And people will see the Hat Man on it. It's not worth it. It's not a worthy high. You wake up feeling awful. Medical experts are pointing to the Benadryl challenge and Galaxy gas trends. Oh, I saw a guy crash his car on Galaxy gas. I've seen quite a few of those on Instagram, and you know what? There's quite a few in real life. They happen on street corners, quite frankly. You'll see somebody. I remember there was a tweak living in across the street from my building at one point when this was about it's still about a year ago. And I was just looking out my window and I see this woman. She had like what looks like one of those containers for, I don't know, it's like a spritz bottle of some variety. Maybe it could be like a whipped cream top or something, but it looked like she took the top, like the actual, the part where it's like a gun where you spritz things. It looks like she stripped that part off and it was just the ping part that goes up into the actual nozzle. And she was just pressing down on it. And she'd smell it and like put it right in her nose. And I would think that it would be so cold that it would like frostbite the inside of her nose. But apparently this woman, she just liked doing this. And I would watch this woman. It was almost a daily habit for her. She would come out of her house and she would hug every single tree on the street. It was a weird habit of hers. She would come out of her apartment. She would have the actual container just walking around with her. And she'd get a nice long drag of it, and then she'd hold it for a minute. You'd see her lungs struggling to hold it in because, I don't know, maybe she has emphysema or something, but she would go and walk to each of the trees, and she would hug them. And it was one of the weirdest things. It's something I'll never forget, living in the city, life in the city. You know what I mean? You got to expect those sorts of things. But what I'm trying to say is Galaxy gas and Benadryl. If your kid ever asks you to get him Galaxy gas, don't be the naive parent that just goes, maybe this is for like dyeing shirts. The trends are showing evidence of how viral clout can turn into life-threatening behaviors, into a form of social currency for many parents and educators. PingTok represents a dangerous evolution of peer pressure, where likes and shares provide an immediate dopamine hit that masks a very real risk of overdose and potential neurological damage. However, a parallel movement known as recovery talk is emerging as a potent counterforce. Proponents argue that the same algorithms that spread harmful trends are also creating powerful lifelines to those struggling with addiction, using hashtags like soberlution. What? Soberlution? That sounds like a lube. And hashtag we do recover. Creators are sharing raw, unfiltered stories of their journeys. Like that one guy who's always like, I would get coke and I would be up for 5 fucking days. I'd call hookers. And it's like this guy who's bald with glasses. He looks like he works on Pawn Stars or something. And he's like, it's like Recovery Jake or something like that. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But he is really, really funny. He's being totally sincere. But he's one of the funniest people in the world for a generation that primarily communicates through short form video. I hear a siren outside my building. That's not great. For a generation that primarily communicates through short form video, these digital support groups provide a level of accessibility and community and that traditional in-person recovery programs sometimes lack. God, that is just loud. I don't know what that is. I think it's a fire department. Let's get a little bit from news itself about PingTok.
Dilated pupils, high on camera, often alone. On TikTok, more and more videos show teenagers filming their drug highs. Their videos reach millions with only one hashtag, PingTok.
Seit ich über Sucht auf TikTok aufkläre, kriege ich tatsächlich sehr viele Nachrichten. Das ist irgendwie erschreckend, weil das oft auch wirklich
She's speaking German or some shit.
TikTok is a trend that romanticizes drug use, from MDMA and cocaine to heroin, sometimes with life-threatening consequences. But how could it get this far? At first glance, TikTok has very strict community guidelines. Showing or promoting drugs is banned. We asked TikTok what the platform is doing to address the spread of this content. TikTok said, safety and well-being are a top priority for us. More than 99% of content that violates these rules is removed before it is reported. But PingTok shows how easily these rules can be bypassed. Users speak in codes. They use sounds, emojis.
Tell
words.
Molly I miss her, cornball.
Ping, for example, is slang for being on drugs. Even though this hashtag has now been blocked by TikTok, users have found ways to get around this. But is this actually new? After all, teenagers have always experimented with drugs. What is new, however, is the visibility. In the past,
the ability to share it.
The curtains. Today, they turn on the camera.
Yeah.
Sarah knows this world too well. Today, the 26-year-old talks openly about her addiction and withdrawal. She became addicted to drugs at 15. She started with MDMA and then moved on to other drugs, such as heroin or morphine. Many of her followers today do the same, she says, and they are even younger.
Eltern, die haben da überhaupt gar kein Auge drauf.
Many parents have no idea what their kids are doing online. And honestly, I find that really frightening.
TikTok isn't just a stage. It's also becoming a marketplace for drugs.
You can connect in the comments to buy drugs. You don't even have to leave your house. You can get everything you want alone in your room. That's what makes PingTok so dangerous.
Using drugs alone is one of the biggest risk factors for overdoses. And data from the US shows more than 69% of fatal overdoses happen at home, often because no one else is there. In Germany, drug-related deaths have nearly doubled in the past 10 years. Among people under 30, deaths rose by 14% last year. There is no proven direct link between PingTok and fatal overdoses. Still, experts warn that isolation and exposure to drug-related content on social media make drug use more dangerous. And some governments are reacting to protect teenagers from harmful content on social media. Australia, for example, has banned social media for under 16s.
I have no issue with this because it doesn't affect me anymore.
The UK, France, and Denmark are debating similar steps. The EU is also reviewing whether platforms do enough to protect minors. But do bans alone really solve the problem?
What I can say through my research is that there are whole sides that often get left out of the conversation when we talk about substance use and social media, which are the populations that are actually using it for support, for things that are not glorification.
Researcher Leila Bazuba analyzed hundreds of videos related to substance use on TikTok. And what's striking here, more than half of the videos that she studied focused on recovery, harm reduction, and education. She found that for many users, TikTok isn't about partying, it's a lifeline.
The place that they can go is social media, and we don't want to cut this lifeline off, while trying to also really strictly moderate the kind of content that's on there at the same time. If these platforms wanted to do anything that impacted this specific community on their platform, they need to involve them.
That's exactly what Sarah is trying to do. Today, she uses TikTok not to glorify drugs, but to warn others about what addiction really costs.
Drug authorities and social workers have to accept that most of this now happens online. It is good that they're going to the streets and go to schools, but they also need to pay attention to the digital space because many of the teenagers are underage.
How should platforms deal with drug trends? Stricter takedowns or more space for education and prevention?
There's no good way to handle that, quite frankly. That's a messy one. We don't know how much freedom we want to give our kids, you know what I mean? The battle between the two subcultures is intensifying. The pressure is mounting on tech companies to do more to delete harmful videos. Many advocates are calling for interventions by design where searches for hashtags like PingTok trigger mandatory pop-ups for crisis hotlines and recovery resources. Whether TikTok remains a primary engine for the drug experimentation or transforms into a global tool for prevention may depend on its ability to amplify voices of recovery over the spectacle of the high. For now, the FYP remains a high-stakes lottery between a single swipe leading a younger user toward a dangerous trip or a path to healing. It's a dangerous time to just be on social media if you're a youngin'. Don't be. That's my best recommendation. Kids don't need phones. You know what I mean? Don't get them anytime soon. You can start them off later in life. I know it might make them a little bit weird, according to some of their friends, but their friends are going to have mental disorders later in their lives because of the early exposure to the phone.